Hello everyone, welcome to Financial Management 5130, and I've met most of you, if not all of you, before during orientation, but in case you can't recall who I am, I'm Daphne Rickson, and I'm Associate Professor of Accounting here at St. Mary's, and I'm also the Executive Director for our Center of Excellence in Accounting and Reporting for Cooperatives, and more commonly known as CRC. It's a lot easier to remember. So I've been a professor here at St. Mary's since 2008, and prior to that I worked as a controller, finance director in the private and public sectors for over 20 years. And when I'm not finding new and improved ways to entertain my students, I enjoy traveling. I particularly enjoy Europe and Asia and South America. So now looking at different ways that you can contact me during the term, certainly email, and I do commit to responding to you within 24 hours at the most. It's usually less, unless for some reason I'm not connected to email, but that's very rare. So email is good. If you want to have a personal conversation with me, either one-on-one or maybe your full group, whichever, we can set up a GoToWebinar or a phone call, whichever works for you. So you just have to let me know and we can schedule that. So I'm just going to, in this video, just go through basically the high-level view of the course syllabus. Of course, the detail is on Brightspace. So first of all, we do have a textbook for this course, and it's by Robert Holt. It's called Financial Accounting and Management Perspective. And this book is available in electronic format, and the idea with the textbook is that this provides the more technical parts of understanding the basics of accounting. So don't worry, I'm not trying to make accountants out of you guys. The idea with this course is for you to have a general understanding of how the financial statements are prepared and how to read them and how to interpret them. So that's one aspect of the course, and the other aspect of the course is to look at sort of the non-financial reporting that cooperatives and credit unions undertake. So when you're going through the textbook, it includes a PowerPoints are with it, and they have these voiceover lectures, and the author actually goes through lectures, so you would just listen to those. So that's the textbook, and so now, the all-important part, how are you going to be evaluated on this course? Well, there's several categories. First, we have online quizzes. So the online quizzes are based on the textbook, and we have 5 of those worth 4% each. Then we have the group discussion board. We have 6 of those at 4%. We have living labs and full class discussion boards, 6 of those at 5% each. And finally, the group project at 26%. So it's due at the end of the term, but don't leave it till the last week or so. It's something you should be thinking about as we do each of the modules, because a lot of the material covered in the various modules will be applicable to the project. Okay, so now we'll have a look at the weekly or bi-weekly schedule. So the idea here is what I'd suggest. Obviously, you can do it in whichever order makes sense for you, but I would suggest you read the chapter in the textbook, go through the online interactive presentation with the author's lecture, and then do your online graded quiz. So that's all the textbook stuff done, out of the way. Then look at my supplementary lecture notes and the readings that I've identified. So basically what I'm doing with this course is, as I said earlier, the textbook provides you with the the basic how accounting is done, and I follow up that with sort of the non-financial reporting, because when you report to your members or your stakeholders, your annual report is comprised of your financial statements, but certainly the bulk of the annual report, if you look at your own annual reports, you'll see it's a lot of non-financial stuff in there, so I get into a lot of that material as well, which is where we can take opportunities to demonstrate the cooperative difference. So then you should complete your group discussion board posting, and then the Living Lab, and then do your responses to the group and Living Lab online discussions. So a little bit more detail now on the textbook and online lecture. Start each module by reading, as I said, the textbook chapter and listening to the voiceover. When you finish that, when you're about to do the online quiz, you will see there are some optional exercises. You can do them, they're optional. It probably would be beneficial to do those exercises before you do the online quiz. There's no grade for them, but you may find it helpful. Okay, so now a little more information on the online quizzes. They are, as I said earlier, 5 at 4% each. There is no quiz for Module 6. When you go into the online quizzes, you want to make sure you're selecting the right one, the one that's going to get you a mark, because as I say, there's lots of optional ones in there. So you have to select quiz for grading. That's the one you want to look for the textbook online quiz. And the course syllabus, of course, has all the due dates identified there. So looking at the supplementary lecture notes and readings, these notes certainly expand on the material that's covered by the textbook, and in some modules introduces material not covered in the textbook. In fact, most modules, that's what it's doing. So you should make sure you read the supplementary lecture notes as well as the readings, the additional readings that I've assigned, before you get into doing the Living Labs and the discussion boards. So the Living Labs, we call them Living Labs because they are based on your cooperative or credit union, and when you respond to the questions, you have to post your responses in 2 places. You have to do it in the assignment for marking, and also post it in the full class discussion board. So there's 2 discussion boards, one for the group and one for a full class. So for the Living Labs, you post that to full class because you need to have an opportunity to see what's happening in cooperatives in other jurisdictions. So by looking at the responses from other students outside your group, it gives you a better idea of what's happening in other areas. And you must respond to at least 1 other student's posting, and preferably 1 outside your group, because what happens is, as a group, you'll become very familiar with each other's cooperative. So the idea with posting your Living Lab to the full class discussion board is to give you a little bit of insight into what's happening outside the world of your little group. Now, for the group discussion board, 6 at 5% each, worth 30%. So each module does have a group discussion question. So you have to post your response in the group discussion question, not in the full class, so make sure you're posting in the right spot. And again, you're required to respond to at least 1 other student's posting. That's the minimum. So, ideally you'd respond to more than 1, but the minimum is 1. The group project, it's fairly significant because we don't have a midterm or final exam in this course, so the group project is due at the end, and it's designed to incorporate many of the concepts that are taught throughout the course. And with the group project, you're going to have to select 1 cooperative. So we could well have a situation where there's 4 or 5 of you in a group and you've got 4 or 5 different cooperatives involved. So you're going to have to decide which one would be the best to use for your group project. And you have to be mindful of the fact that although you're choosing the cooperative of one person, not to put undue pressure on one person to do all of the work for the project. And there's a file folder on the system with more detailed information on the project, and I also have a separate video to give you a bit more information about it as well. So it's due the last date of this course, which is April 16th. So one thing to keep in mind is, as you are doing the course, there are some questions, some assignments that require you to talk to your chief financial officer or controller or VP finance, whatever the title is, that sort of position. And in particular, you'll need to talk to that person for modules 1 and 3. So what you might find useful is maybe set up one appointment and get the answers to respond to the questions for modules 1 and 3, so that way you're not having to go back and bother the same person twice. So finally, I know everybody is working full-time, have family responsibilities and so on. Life is very busy and things can happen. There can be health issues, family issues, and so on. So if there's something going on in your life that's really impacting your ability to keep on track with the course, please let me know. I'll work with you to set up alternate schedules for things, and I can't help you if I don't know you have a problem, so it's really important that you let me know if you're having issues, and I can come up with a plan and work with you to come up with a resolution. So keep in touch, let me know what's going on if you're having any issues. So that concludes the introduction video.